welcome to Task Force Geek. Spoiler alert, I am your host, Beth, and we are breaking down Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3. I got Darth Hooper with me, I got Walt with me, and I got Mariam with me, and we got the tiniest member of the Task Force Geek family, Darren's hanging out to talk about his love of the princess.
Your Padawan.
My Padawan, yes, my young Padawan. All right. Guys, we got so much to unpack in this episode. Okay, I had to watch it twice just to catch everything that is going on here. So I just want to jump right into this.
I'll say that before I watched it, I was filled with anxiety. I was like, "Oh God, what's going to happen when Obi-Wan meets Vader?"
Well, you know, we all know he meets Vader in this episode, and I've got to say I loved all the little snippets that Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen had been putting out about that particular meeting, and how this was the first time they came face to face with each other. Hayden as Vader,
right,
and you know, Ewan as Obi-Wan, and Ewan even said, "I saw him coming, and I was scared."
And you acted.
You know, well, no, you know, you can tell he's scared. You know, yeah, he's a great actor and everything, but you can actually see Ewan looks a little terrified when you watch the show. And, you know, that was a great moment for me to read about, and I was watching for it. And, you know, I can only imagine coming face to face with Vader.
I loved it. I loved everything about it.
The whole build up to it was great.
I loved everything about it.
So let's talk about the build up. Episode 2 left off with Obi-Wan and Leia on some sort of cargo ship heading out of town thanks to the help of the dude.
The fake Jedi.
The fake Jedi, yeah. For the life of me, I can't remember his name right now. I've slept since then. Sorry about that, guys. But you know, we start the episode with Obi-Wan pretty much in meditation, trying to get someone to answer him, trying to get Yoda to talk to him, or even Qui-Gon. And
Qui-Gon was the biggest one.
Yeah.
I still
talk
feel
about
like
massive foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I agree. Dirk, I think you're onto something. I think we are going to see some Qui-Gon Jinn here before long. I really hope so. I'm really kind of hoping that, like the secret that James Earl Jones did come back to do the voice of Vader, I'm kind of hoping that, you know, they're being.
I'm so happy he did.
That Liam Neeson is coming back. Vader's not Vader without James Earl Jones.
Well, you know, Liam Neeson was in that final episode of Clone Wars season 5.
Yep.
I think it was.
Is that right?
He was.
Yeah,
It was actually Liam Neeson.
It was actually Liam Neeson. He came.
Oh, dude, that's cool.
He came to Yoda to tell him how to communicate.
Yeah,
so
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so that's when Yoda first learned on how to communicate with everybody from the afterlife.
Right. And,
which
I mean, obviously Obi-Wan learned to do this somehow.
Right.
Where I think we're going to learn that. We're going to at least learn how he begins that process. Right. I think. Absolutely.
I think so too.
Well, and I think Liam has already been confirmed to do another Star Wars show.
I hope so. I really do hope so.
He's been confirmed to do another Star Wars show, bringing Qui-Gon back.
Isn't that the one that's supposed to be about some of the Jedi and from like prior to?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So he is. So if he has to come back, because if not, I want to see Mace come back and show him and go, "Shut up, pull yourself together." Bringing together an initiative.
We need a Star Wars version of the MF word.
Right. I was not going to say it. I almost did.
I'd like to talk to you.
We need a Star Wars version
about
of that.
The Jedi Initiative.
Bantha Poodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if Sam Jackson says it, it's you know, Bantha Poodoo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what more? It's okay.
I want him to come back so bad. But I think Qui-Gon, they're foreshadowing it so heavily that and because he came back in Clone Wars to help Yoda, and Yoda in the beginning The first episode during the montage in the beginning was talking about more training I have for you.
More training I have for you.
So it's all being foreshadowed. So when he shows up is going to be the question.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's been a couple of times he's and literally Obi-Wan is destitute right now.
Oh, very.
Beyond destitute.
Very.
Dirk.
I mean, he's being so uncivilized with that blaster. And very, very uncivilized with that blaster.
Uncivilized. Hello there.
Hello.
He's very good at being uncivilized. Very good at it.
General Kenobi.
The guy who is playing the fake Jedi is Kumail Ninjani.
Where have we seen him before?
Eternals.
He was in the Eternals. He was one of the Eternals.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys.
And I'm looking that up right now. I'm trying to figure out what his filmography is.
I think he was in one of those shows that I like to refer to as the Parks Community Office. I think he was in one of those shows.
He was in Silicon Valley.
There you go, Silicon Valley. They're all the same to me.
Oh, Silicon Valley is really good.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley is really good.
Wow, I like.
But yeah, that's where he's from. That's where I knew him from originally.
Whoa.
Then he was in the Eternals, and now he's in Star Wars, which is awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. I love seeing them all just kind of bounce around.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So, generic Facebook user.
Generic Facebook.
Hi, generic Facebook user. I love this. I saw a Facebook meme of Kenobi and Leia traveling through the Tatooine desert. Kenobi stops, looks around, and says, "There used to be a small village of Tusken Raiders right here. Huh? Wonder what happened to them."
I slaughtered them all, women and children. Oh, we got to get to that little area in this episode.
We do.
Down
by the way, you have to approve Facebook as broadcasting on StreamYard before it will say what your name is on there. So that may be the hang up on that.
Oh.
Sorry,
I set it up all right, didn't I, Dirk?
What's that?
I set it up all correctly, didn't I?
No, it has nothing to do with you. I'm saying whoever Facebook user is did not approve StreamYard to broadcast their name, so it will just come up as Facebook.
Well, come on, Facebook user. We want to know who's talking to us.
It's on their end.
It's
on their end.
I'm sorry, they're a Jedi. They have to stay hidden.
They're a Jedi. They have to stay hidden.
Oh, it's Damon.
Oh, okay, it's Damon.
Welcome, Damon.
All right, Damon.
I mean, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Because he broadcasts with us all the time. So I don't know what the issue is.
So from now on,
Facebook seems to change their algorithm like every other week.
This is true.
Oh,
So
you've
Dirk,
got us
what were your first thoughts on the episode?
You've got us broadcasting on the Facebook page.
That's where you told me to last week.
No, we were on YouTube.
Now I got them on all three.
Yeah, we're on all three.
Oh, hey.
And I did.
That's the difference. That's the difference. That's the difference. Is it's on the page instead of my profile. That's okay.
Well, I'll remember that for next time.
Damon, go join the Facebook page.
The group, the Facebook
Damon,
group.
why are you not part of the group anyway?
Well, I don't think it's the group. I think it's the page.
It's the page. He is part of the group.
I was going to say.
He's on the group all the time. Look, the first thing I want to say is that I want Darth Vader's Darth Vader's pad. He has the best bachelor pad in the galaxy.
Dude,
okay?
Yes.
It's so minimal.
It's that black brutalist architecture versus the lava, right?
Yeah.
You know that he has like the largest big screen holocron in the galaxy somewhere around there. He's got like beer that's like carbonite frozen on tap. and like he like hosts when the boys come over. He's got like Boba Fett and IG-88, and when Jar Jar comes over.
All I know is this: I wish my living room was that spotless.
I mean,
just a chair and a TV set.
He has his pad.
Throne.
I'm telling you that joint is hooked up. I want that sort of thing.
It's the
he's probably broke everything, so they say nothing for you. You keep breaking things.
Just a bunch of. It's all just a bunch of sharp corners around there. It's really, you know, it's
It's-
kind of dangerous in that joint.
And it's not kid friendly.
He has lava running through his living room. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And he's got
I
a
really
back
love the
tank-
worlds.
He's
Can't
got
really
a back
have-
tank in his bathroom. I mean, come on.
He does. He does. It's pretty cool. Look, it's exciting. Once again, I mentioned last week that we're going through the hero's journey, and I see that a lot of people online are the usual suspects.
The fan holes.
Are
Fan holes.
whinging about like, why is Obi-Wan like all scared now? He's so scared.
Oh no,
He's
no,
running
there's
from
a good
everyone. He's
reason for all of that.
He's a coward, you know. And it's like, look, we're going through the hero's journey, folks. We have reset Obi-Wan Kenobi at the beginning of this series.
I got something to say about that.
He's a guy who is carving meat for a living. That is his normal world now. He's a normal dude at the beginning of the series. He gets the call. He refuses the call. Go look at the hero's journey. Then, you know, what's the name? Jimmy Smith shows up.
Yeah.
Bail Organa.
Bail.
Right,
Yeah.
Bail Organa. He shows up and he goes, look, you got to do this. Come on, it's my daughter. She's just as important as Luke. You got to help me out here. No, who else am I going to go to?
Right.
I can't call Ghostbusters. So, you know, and then he goes on this journey and he's relearning what it's like to be a Jedi. He's been a normal dude for 10 years. He is scared. He's been running for all of this time. And he has given up the life of being a Jedi. The first time that he saved Leia, he had to kind of figure it out again.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
he had to figure out how to get
I mean,
how to
it's
use
like
the Force to save her.
it's like, did you not pay attention to how episode 3 ended? Did you not pay attention to how
It was a
episode
bad
3 ended?
day.
I mean, as
It was a
the
really
saying
bad day.
goes, or the phrase goes, they got their asses handed to them. Really,
Yeah.
really
And
bad.
he said,
And
you know,
think about it this way with the Force. The Force is actually like a muscle. If you stop using it and you're intentionally suppressing it, you're going to. It's kind of like, even though he can use the Force, but it's like he lost the muscle memory.
Right.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
like suddenly it's like, okay, I gotta, you know, in your head, you know, like when you're like, you work out all the time and you're like, I feel really strong. And then you stop for a couple of years and then you're thinking that you can lift those weights. And then you're like, I can't really lift those weights. It's kind of the same thing. He's got to work up to it again
Right.
because
I mean, it's
he's
even
lost
one
the muscle
step-
memory.
it's one step beyond that. He's been actively suppressing it.
Correct.
Right.
Well, you know,
Yes.
because he
To
doesn't
hide.
want to attract any attention.
And also, when you talk about it from like the Mandalorian, when Ahsoka tells Mando or tells Din Djarin, he goes, "Let the child lose his abilities. Don't let him use the Force." You know, so
Right.
it tells you that the Force abilities kind of dissipates when you let it go dormant.
Right.
And I think that's what's happening to Obi-Wan. It's went dormant after 10 years.
This is a crisis of confidence with
Right.
Obi-Wan. And
Yes.
look, if Obi-Wan starts out this whole series and he's the optimized badass that we know he was, you have no series here.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
So-
it would be
so-
boring. Yeah.
This is storytelling, folks. Hey, welcome to Storytelling 101. The
Right.
storytelling is that you pull him back and you make him a normal person, and then he evolves throughout the series. Do you think that he's going to cower against Darth Vader for the rest of this series? There's no chance of that. And
Hell
the
no.
reason why we know that there's no chance of that is because when he meets Vader in Star Wars, in the original Star Wars, Vader says, "When I left you, I was but to learn, but now I am the master."
Mhm.
The only
Right.
reason why, if he owned him previously, he would not have said that line.
Right.
I'm a master of evil.
He would
Darth
have said,
is not
"Hey,
open."
I kicked your ass
Yep.
before, and I'm going to do
I'm
it
gonna
again."
kick
That's
your
what he
ass
again.
said.
Right.
He didn't say that. So it's very clear that at some point, Obi-Wan gets his act together, gets his confidence, he gets his mojo, and he's going to go after Darth Vader, and he's going to show him who's the boss.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I even think it's going to be like, leave me alone. I think it's going to be more or less like, leave me alone. Don't ever come back after me again, kind of thing.
Oh, we'll see.
And that's just
Or
me.
he could have lost him again, But I definitely think he could have lost him again, but yeah, there could be he gets soundly beaten and then he's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to leave that alone. Or, the Emperor's like, stop this foolishness.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Stop this foolishness.
Daddy comes down and goes, this is, get back to work.
Yeah.
So Damon brings up everything that we've all thought about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Excuse me, sir. About Kenobi appearing softer. I would also like to add that he knew Anakin since he was a child. He's like family. You were my brother.
Right.
Past decade, it's ate his soul. He couldn't save Anakin. Now he's become more evil than ever and is beyond saving. Kenobi feels sad for him. Not only does Ben feel sad for Anakin, he also feels he's feeling guilt for allowing for not addressing what he was seeing with Anakin throughout Clone Wars.
Right.
He saw what was going on with Anakin.
Right.
And he feels guilty himself because he didn't address it.
Right.
Well, I think he's going through a couple of things. Not only is he dealing with the guilt of not being able to prevent Anakin from falling, but he's now going, dude, he's still alive.
Right. Right.
So which of course goes to why didn't he sense him through the Force that he's still alive? But obviously we know the dark side can shield. And obviously the light side can shield too, because Anakin couldn't find Obi-Wan. Right.
And then on top of that, it's like, I should have finished the job. There's that too. There's the whole. Oh yeah, there's the whole, that line. I should have just finished the job. I should have just, instead of just leaving him there to suffer, I should have just ended it right there. And he didn't. So in all sense of the word failure, he failed miserably.
Yeah.
And that's heavy. That's heavy. Oh
yeah, and I think Anakin's a little pissed off at him for not killing him.
Yeah.
Because now he's suffering.
Yeah.
Right.
And see, I brought up the book Darth Vader last week by James Stovall, and that is actually something that he covers in that book. Through the years of what Anakin is dealing with. I mean, his body is scarred and burned beyond repair. He has lost limbs. He has new limbs. And, anyone who has talked to someone who has artificial limbs knows that there is always some level of pain there. So not only is he now stuck basically in this suit that's keeping him alive, on top of it, he has consistent pain. Probably in his legs, probably in his arms. I mean, especially in his legs. I mean, he's carrying around this freaking suit. We've all seen it. Yeah. All right. We've probably all talked with cosplayers who have that suit. And we all know that is not a light piece of costuming. Okay. So imagine wearing it for real every day, day in, day out. Probably the only relief Vader actually ever gets is when he's in the bacta tank, when he's out of the suit, when he's floating. And everything like we see at the beginning of the first, of this episode. So, you can
see him struggle fighting. They're both slower.
Yeah.
Right now.
Anakin is slower because he's learning how to control his body now in this suit. One of the, in Revenge of the Sith, when we watch Anakin and Obi-Wan in that last epic fight scene, Anakin's two-handing that lightsaber, just like Obi-Wan. Now, Vader's one hand and a lightsaber. So he has the strength.
I think that was to demonstrate the strength difference there.
Strength difference, yes. And to show that Vader is stronger.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Not necessarily faster. But we also see him doing things with the Force that we haven't seen him do before.
Right.
Okay. We see him starting to move things around. We see him easily lifting someone with the Force. Okay. So he's had to learn how to do all of that.
He's snapping necks.
He's snapping necks. Yeah, he's snapping necks without even looking at him.
Speaking of snapping necks, anyone happen to pay attention that was just a kid?
Yes.
That was the son of the father.
Yeah.
I think what we're getting here is a little bit of a retcon, because in Star Wars, he did pick a dude up, and choke him. and he did, he choked that one Imperial dude in Star Wars. And at the time, back in the 70s, it's like, oh, that's horrific. That's terrible. Whatever he's doing there is scary as hell. Well, we've had, nearly 50 years of, every conceivable bad thing that anyone could do. Kylo Ren is stopping blaster bolts in midair, that sort of stuff. So what we're getting now is them kind of re-upping the horror with Darth Vader by showing him like the hallway scene in Rogue One.
The hallway scene in Rogue One was the one thing everybody wanted to see.
Yep.
And now we're seeing him drag people down the street with the Force and him pull people out of stuff. And we see now we've restored the horrific element of Darth Vader. He's scary as hell.
And not just Darth Vader, but the Empire itself.
Yes.
And because when you think about it, Darth Vader is just one level short of of Palpatine as far as the horrific things that run through their mind.
I think it harkens back when he did that to the kid. Just harkens back to the temple when he took out all the kids. It's just to reiterate, he doesn't care. He's got an agenda, and he's going to do it.
Caring, and he has an agenda. And right now, his agenda is killing Obi-Wan. It's not even so much killing all the Jedi. He's got it out for everyone.
He doesn't want to kill Obi-Wan yet. He wants him to suffer just as bad as he suffered.
Yeah.
He's not, other Jedi, kill him. He's not a problem.
Or turn him.
Kill him or turn him.
Kill him or turn him.
Turn him or kill him. Excuse me.
Right.
I guarantee you at the beginning of the next episode, Obi-Wan is going to be thinking, wow, not only did I screw up, but I also screwed up with him. I should have killed him. He is suffering. That is my fault.
Yeah.
It's going to be more guilt on that dude that he didn't take care of Vader.
Right.
Just like
he's going to have to deal with
people.
it.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. To what Mariam was saying, he wants Obi-Wan to suffer. To borrow a quote from Crowley from Supernatural. No one in the history of torture has been tortured with torture like the torture you'll be tortured with.
Right.
That is what's up for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Well, hello, boys.
And another thing about Darth Vader, Anakin, is that he hates himself for all this stuff.
He does. He does.
I don't know if many people know that, but he hates himself. Most of his hatred is inward.
Yeah.
Not so much outward. It's inward. And
couldn't
his
save
hatred.
His mother, couldn't save Padme. Was betrayed by the Jedi because of what he did.
Couldn't control himself with the Sand People. He had, and he said it, he says he has all these things that he wants to do, and he knows, or that he craves, and he knows that he shouldn't. So
couldn't control himself killing Count Dooku.
Right. Couldn't control himself.
No, but he kind of caved into peer pressure on that one. Come on. You got Palpatine going, do it.
But it's his fault that he caved. So,
Anakin wasn't strong enough to resist Palpatine, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
So, and that's true because, it's been kind of fed in his brain ever since he was young. You're the chosen one. You're the chosen one. And so now he's failing this idea of what the chosen one is.
Chosen one is supposed to be, right? Yeah. Exactly.
So, he's kind of been force-fed all that with everybody, and then dealing with the fact that, the Jedi Masters, and the Council didn't believe that he could be a Jedi. And, so he's got I'll show you type attitude too.
Well, we'll let you on the Council, but we're not going to give you
the rank of title, right?
Yeah.
He's got a lot of, grievances.
Mace Windu turns around and basically tells him, I don't trust you, to his face. Okay.
Right.
Which Mace was right to say that.
He was, because he was spending so much time calling him out.
Yeah. Right? But the thing is Obi-Wan could have probably stemmed some of that stuff if he just realized that what Anakin was going through and addressed it,
Obi-Wan knew that Anakin had an unhealthy relationship with Palpatine. Now, while Obi-Wan didn't realize that Palpatine was the Darth, was the Sith Lord,
yeah,
he should have started to pull Anakin away more sooner, faster.
He also knew about his relationship with Padme.
Yes, he did.
Oh yeah, he knew that. Like that was so obvious.
Yeah,
it's Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan does not have a whole heck of a lot of room to talk, only because we know of Obi-Wan's relationship with Sabine.
Right.
But he also said to Sabine, "If you had just said the word, I would have left the order."
Right.
You know, yeah. But he just, but he kind of was able to separate himself from relationship to,
and if
to Jedi, and Anakin could not.
Anakin couldn't. But if Obi-Wan had guided him that way and said, "Look, you need to choose Padme, or you need to choose the Order, and it's okay if you want to choose Padme and go."
Right.
Well, I don't think Obi-Wan would do that because everybody kept saying Anakin's the chosen one. So in a lot of ways, Anakin didn't have a choice.
And
can we talk about the Duel of the Fates?
We could throw that. We can throw that back at Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon was the one that asked Obi-Wan to train him. Yes,
right. That's why I said we need to go back to the Duel of the Fates
here. Yes, it is pertinent.
So if has anybody heard the interview with Dave Filoni talking about what the Duel of Fates really truly means?
And we're talking about the Duel of the Fates from the Phantom Menace.
Correct. With
Qui-Gon and Darth Maul and Obi-Wan.
Yes. So Filoni said that the Duel of the Fates is actually not just a duel between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan. It's actually Duel of the Fates is the battle for Anakin's soul.
Right.
Yeah.
So if Qui-Gon would have won that battle, then Anakin would have the father figure he needed in order to guide him through, and then he probably wouldn't have fallen to the dark side.
And we wouldn't have had the best villain on on record.
But you also have it because Obi-Wan won. Obi-Wan wasn't that father figure; he was a brother because he was still young himself. So it's not. So Anakin lost what was most necessary to help him become, figure. Right. He needed the father figure, which is what Qui-Gon would have been to him should he have survived. But because he didn't, the Duel of the Fates went to Anakin's fall.
Yep.
And that's why, Qui-Gon was like, train the boy.
We didn't see any of the other Jedi offer to train him, because they were actually, even at that point, even as an 8-year-old boy, Anakin,
nobody wanted to.
They were
afraid. No, they're too old.
He was too old, and they were afraid of him.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the things we discovered in this episode, and then we'll get to what we really want to talk about, which is the duel. Anyway, so we were talking last week about xenophobia in the Empire, and yet we have not one but 2 female stormtroopers and a female Imperial officer. Granted, they are located in the
backwater
end of the galaxy, but
it is some weird mine that means nothing.
Right.
Well, I think a part of that is, unfortunately, just the times of today with people trying to make things more inclusive and stuff like that. I don't think so. I mean, we can twist it and turn it into like why, just like you said, they're being placed on some backwater planet. But I just think it's more of a culture thing that we're in now than back then.
Right now it's a casting choice, but in canon, in canon lore in Star Wars, there were typically. We'll talk about the princess in a minute. Calm down. In canon lore, there were no female stormtroopers. There were or very few female stormtroopers, very few female officers, simply because Palpatine did not feel that women were strong enough to do the jobs he needed them to do. And so it's not surprising in canon to find these 2, these stormtroopers and this officer out in the middle of nowhere. And yes, so we'll talk about the princess, okay? Okay. The female stormtrooper helps save your princess. Okay.
I think that I think the real world answer is that, you know, Star Wars is playing a little catch up. Star Wars has had some spotty issues with diversity. You know, but look, the thing goes back into the 70s. You know, so
I mean, think about it.
Look at
growing up,
any movies
women
that
could
were made
not
back
be in
then.
combat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And yet, you know, Lucas did have a, you know, people were saying, oh, well, you know, finally we have a strong female protagonist. You know, Leia was I mean, Lucas was making his statements with Princess Leia and other things at the time, but you know, times have changed. And so you're going to get some more diversity. And the only way that Star Wars is truly going to be diverse is if you have, you know, black people as bad guys too.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, even, you know, I can point to, can we talk a little bit about Moses Ingram?
Yes.
Oh, God, I love her.
Definitely.
You know, we know that Disney had to make another statement, like a public statement, like leave our effing actors alone, please.
Yep.
Be, you know, be decent human beings. Please be decent human beings. I think that, you know,
Ewan McGregor even put out a statement.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone has to go to look.
Ensign Mount from Star Trek put out a statement.
Yeah.
First off, you're supposed to, right. He said something like Star Trek has your back.
Right.
First off, you're not supposed to like her. She's a bad guy, okay?
Exactly.
The fact that you don't like her, you don't like her character is good. That is good acting. That's good writing.
It means she's doing her job.
She's doing her job if you don't like her, okay? There's a big difference between not liking her and not liking her because of her skin color. That is not acceptable, folks.
Correct.
And they, you know, they use the N word in a lot of these communications. That's racism. And I don't.
Oh yeah.
The issue that I have with that is I don't understand how you can, on one hand, be a Star Wars fan,
right,
and get the ideas of Star Wars, which is, you know, fighting the power. Hello, and then on the other hand, going, I got a racist got a racist. You know,
I mean, it's the same thing.
No sense to me. Where's the disconnect? There is huge.
It's the
like,
same thing with Star Trek.
Go find some. I mean, Star Trek is even more. I mean, Star Trek was on the tip of the spear with having a black woman as an officer and having the first white in
the first interracial kiss.
Yes.
First interracial kiss,
and showing, you know, Kirk getting it on with every color creature in the galaxy. You know,
like green girls.
I mean, they were very much ahead of the game in Star Trek from the beginning.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't understand how you can be racist in like Star Trek either. It's insane. You know, you have to be open-minded to like these things. I mean, you'd have to overlook a lot of messages going back 50 years with these things.
Yeah.
You're not, if you're racist and you like this stuff, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. Go find other alternative forms of entertainment, please.
It's like, I mean, it's happening in everything. There's like all these things. We want more realism in our comic books. And then when you start adding everyday, like all of everyday life, well, not that, not that or that or that. Can we just get back to punching and kicking, please? Then
can I talk about the realism real quick?
Right.
So Mandalorian, what was the very first people said when in the whole Star Wars thing is when they were in the Razor Crest and they're like, oh, look, there's a toilet. Oh my God, they actually have toilets in Star Wars.
Right.
So the realism thing, it's like, it's cool, but do we seriously need people going to watch people going to the bathroom? No, that doesn't drive the story forward.
Oh, we run into
unless you're in unless you're watching All in the Family.
We run into that with book writing too. Oh, don't your characters ever go to the bathroom?
Yeah, don't they go potty?
Really?
Yeah, but I mean,
how does that work towards the story?
You want a chapter of that? I mean, what the, what the heck?
Actually,
and to the right is the roll
Actually, I would
slowly
like
unfurl.
Actually,
Slightly.
I would like to.
Softness.
Right.
Actually, I would just like to see a moment where somebody's coming out of the bathroom. You know,
Right.
Sprinkle in his bell. Okay,
Yeah. I mean,
sprinkle in his bell.
Dude,
Since
you have
we're
toilet paper
on this-
on their feet.
since we're on this tangent, that was, you know, one of the things about All in the Family. It was the first TV show to have a flushing toilet.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
part
that
of the
was part
story.
of the comedy routine.
Yeah, that was part of the comedy routine. So
I'd
anyway,
love to go back to Moses because I personally think with her writing, now that we've got her for 3 episodes, and you're now beginning to see the nuances of the character because. I mean, I think one of the big issues that people were having in the first 2 episodes was that she was so bombastic. It's like she hated the Jedi hated her, then the Inquisitors didn't like her either. And I was going, okay, you know, what's going on and stuff. But this time you can actually see some differences. There's something new that's in her character that's coming forward that she's actually doing a really good job conveying without saying it specifically.
And apparently she's a favorite of Vader's.
She is.
I'm just going to put it out there because, you know, I think I have experience with this. She is portraying the angry black woman.
Yes, she is.
You know,
Agreed.
and I totally get where this character is coming from. I mean, just the way that she's treated by the other Inquisitors, the whole thing. It's all spot on, and I think a lot of people that's kind of getting at some people that they don't like that, and usually the ones that don't like that are the ones who are like are the ones that don't want to see that that's something that's a thing. So. Right. You know,
I think that the writers are masterfully creating a little sympathy for her in that, you know, her coworkers are being so shitty to her.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
And so you can see how there's a glass ceiling in the Empire.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you know, they are. You know,
it's like she's doing all the work, but somebody else is taking the credit.
Exactly.
Credit. And, you know, trying to suck up to the boss and all that sort of stuff. I think that creates a little bit of sympathy here and signals that maybe are some nuances here and there may be a turn for this character by the end.
Oh, I still think she's on a redemption arc.
Yeah, it's obvious that Vader picked her up out of the gut. Like when they said she was in the gutter, Vader's the one who picked her up out of the gutter. And in a way, that shows, you know, when they said, you know, there's still good in him. That's what it is.
So let me play devil's advocate here for a minute with that. Vader picked her up from the gutter. We know that we know she's trying to impress Darth Vader. We know that she is angry with Obi-Wan. What if on Obi-Wan and Anakin's many adventures, what if they were the ones that found her as a Force-sensitive child and brought her back to the temple? What if maybe that is why? And
he doesn't remember her.
I guess maybe Obi-Wan doesn't remember her, or
I've been thinking that same thing. So somewhere there's a connection between the three.
I mean,
that would be.
I kind of feel this with Riva. I feel like her and Anakin are in some ways very same. They are angry at the people. So like Anakin is like kind of angry at Obi-Wan for, you know, destroying him and making him who he is.
Right.
And I think Riva is angry. Now that I go back and I say, you're right, she's probably the girl in the temple, but she's angry that the Jedi didn't save her. She didn't understand at that age what was going on, but she's angry. They didn't come save her. So she's got this save. So she's got this, you know, you didn't come save me, so I'm going to kill you. So you understand the pain I'm feeling.
Same thing.
She has some deeper connection with Obi-Wan and Anakin that we have not seen yet.
Well, and when Anakin said, or when Darth Vader goes, I know your ambition. I know what your intentions are.
What you want, yeah.
Right. And he's like, I will get it for you if you do this, but if you fail, you will never,
Right.
You're gone. Just like every Inquisitor that fails Vader, they die.
Right.
That's my only concern. I don't know where they're going to take her.
Anybody who fails Vader.
Huh?
Anybody who fails Vader dies.
Right. So my concern is like, I know she's on this I feel like she's on some kind of redemption arc. I just hope she survives this redemption arc.
Right.
Apology accepted, Captain Nita.
Right.
So let us talk about the trip from where from where they land, where Obi-Wan and Leia lands, to where they end up. First off,
planet that looks like suspiciously like California with the Joshua trees.
Oh, Dan said New Mexico.
Or Nevada.
I was
like, same swamp.
Wherever there's a Joshua tree, that's where we are.
That's where we are. First off, speaking of the Joshua trees, what about the Force ghost that Obi-Wan sees of Anakin?
I think that's Anakin. I think that's just his.
That's
I think that might be a
mind.
hallucination. I think that's his mind.
He's having some problems. He's very much in his mind right now, which is the problem. He needs to get out of his mind and get busy.
Now, we know Obi-Wan is a strong character. I mean, we've seen him at his height. So to see him, being very suspicious, tripping over his own feet, and here we come with our princess swooping on in and saving the day.
Isn't she Leia?
She is.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Luma. This is my dad. After he tells her not to talk. Okay, right. That's
great. They set that up nicely.
Perfect, Leia. Okay.
Also,
and then Obi-Wan screws up.
He hasn't been. It's very clear that he hasn't been role playing lately because he couldn't keep track of his names. He couldn't keep track of the story. She's doing all of the talking for him. I mean, he's blowing all of his rolls, all his charisma roll.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very much out of practice here. And Leia comes to save the day, which is pretty cool. I also very much liked in the ship how he's explaining what the Force is.
Yes.
Because when it's dark and you turn on the light, that's what the Force is. I thought that was kind of nice.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah,
that's what it feels
like. She says it makes me feel safe, and it's like, that's the Force.
I love the inquisitiveness that they are bringing out with her as well. How does it work?
Yeah,
she's a perfect foil for him right now because he's so insulated and stuff. She's bringing these things out of him where, like the Jedi, for example, that was saying, hey, it's time to go fight the Empire. And he's like, look at the scoreboard. We lost.
Right.
Stuff. But Leia's getting through to him, and like no one else would be able to. I mean, his Owen Lars is not getting through to him either.
Yeah.
But Leia is. So she's like the perfect person for him to be paired with right now.
Oh yes, I absolutely agree.
And you can also see that her inquisitiveness is also a little bit of the Force working through her.
Perhaps.
Oh yeah, it's very apparent.
Yeah. It's very apparent. She's
that
attuned
one
to the
is.
Force.
I'm really curious on how that's going to go with Revoke now that the ending of this episode.
Yeah, you're going to put those two together. That's going to be an interesting conversation as well.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and you already know because the one thing that I will have to admit is that in Return of the Jedi, when Luke asked Leia, what do you remember of our mother? And then she says, I remember all of this stuff. And then, of course, everybody had kind of the uproar at the end of Revenge of the Sith when Padme dies. And we're like, well, how could she possibly remember? Well, I like that conversation between Obi-Wan and Leia about this is what you remember. She was like, I have like little bits of memories. And then Obi-Wan gives up a little bit of his history of what he remembers being taken before being taken from the Jedi, which helps bridge that inconsistency that everybody was dealing with. And I like that.
And everybody's going to grumble about it. Well, Leia was just a baby. There have been scientific studies that show that people can and do remember things fresh out of the womb as a baby. And she says bits and pieces, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So the most that she might remember is briefly being held by Padme when Padme says her name. Maybe the sound of her voice might be something that Leia remembers.
Well,
there's
and
not a lot
Leia
to
said,
work with
she
there.
said, I remember my mother being sad.
Right.
And Padme was sad.
Padme was
That-
sad.
That could also be the Force.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
A
yeah.
lot of
I mean,
it
you
is
can
the Force.
literally explain it. I mean, you can hand wave anything
Right.
with the literally with the Force.
I mean, Obi-Wan says that he remembers his mother,
His
but
mother's
didn't
call, his father's hand.
only his father's hand, and then he remembered that he
Remember
may
a
have had a
brother.
brother.
A baby.
He
So,
has a brother. Can I meet him?
so there's a story
Yeah,
right
what's the- yeah, what's
There's
the
a story right there. There's a story right there.
I
Story
also
right there.
liked how both of them had been separated from their families, and they had a common thing there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
And
like
it
a
also
bond.
points out
It's like a
It also-
parallel.
it also
Yeah.
points out how tragic the Jedis are really, because
Exactly.
they're taken away from their parents and then put into this the service of they become bunks. You can't
Right.
marry. The whole thing, and so you sacrifice your entire life for the to the service of the New Republic or whatever. Jedis in many ways are tragic characters.
Yes.
And we wonder why the Sith exist.
Exactly.
Right.
Speaking of service, yeah,
He said, Qui-Gon said death is not a barrier.
I like this. Qui-Gon said death is not a barrier for the Force. Yes, that is very true. And we've seen that with the amount
So
of
many
Force
times.
ghosts that we've seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Yoda was moving crap around and doing
Oh, yeah.
stuff, as a Force ghost.
As a Force ghost.
Yeah,
exactly.
he's not playing around.
Yeah.
Yoda's doing stuff.
Yeah.
So
And I would
he pretty
probably
much
get.
sent lightning down and burned a tree. So
Yeah.
exactly.
And I'm pretty sure Qui-Gon was sitting there going, "Oh crap! I can do that too."
That is real power
we
right
saw,
there.
as much as we've all watched the last 3 movies, we see Force Luke Ghost go and comfort Leia.
Yeah.
We saw Force Ghost Luke. Well, actually, we saw Luke before becoming Force Ghost go out
he
and
was
fight
astral
with.
projecting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people, even though I'm not going to say that the movies were great or anything, but I think the advancement of what people were able to do with the Force was a great thing. I think that's the only good thing I got out of the last movie was that these characters had advanced even further with the Force.
I personally liked Yoda in the last 3 movies.
Oh yeah. I did too.
I liked that it was kind of admonishing, Luke for his, stinginess and being grumpy and a hermit. He's like, "What? Look where you are now,"
Yeah.
But I still think, I personally have issues with Luke and how they portrayed him, but I get it. Okay, that's where it is.
Old man Luke, get off my lawn.
Get
you
off my
imperial
lawn,
scum.
Luke.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I have all kinds of problems with the way they portrayed it. We were talking earlier about the spotty issues with diversity in the Star Wars universe. Look at first off the way that the fans treated Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah,
That was horrible.
that was horrible.
That was horrible.
But let's also rightly call out the fact that she played a terrible character. That's not her fault.
No, that's
But
not her
I mean,
fault.
the character didn't do anything. She was
No,
completely superfluous to the entire to the 2 movies that she was in.
The writers had a massive problem with these.
That
those
was
3
on
movies.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's his name? I can't.
Who played Finn?
Finn.
That character.
Oh,
His name.
Finn had such a great potential, and
What?
they just completely destroyed it.
Yeah.
What the heck were they doing with that character? I mean, that was a case where
Nothing.
they set up this great character arc for
Right.
this character. He's a
And they crushed it.
stormtrooper that has defected and he's trying to find his place in the universe. He could have been the coolest character ever.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they sidelined him and put him in.
They sidelined him.
And considering
dumb.
that considering that
Shame
in
on
the
them.
original books, in the original X-Wing Squadron books, there was an Imperial Stormtrooper defector by the name of Tycho Selku. They had all the material they needed right there to
Yep.
bring Finn really to life. If you want to name, rename the character, fine.
John Boyega.
You got
his name.
You got all the material right here already. Why didn't you cherry pick that part of it out of the books?
Right.
You know what?
Because the directors and writers had no idea what they were doing. They just didn't even think it was important to connect the stories.
No,
it's not enough.
They even even with Rey, they dropped the ball with that character too.
Absolutely.
Actually, like the first movie, it was like, this movie is cool. I can't wait to see the second movie. And the second movie comes out, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
That's what I was feeling with Poe. Is like, here you create this new Han Solo, and then you sideline him and put him, and then make him mope in a ship, and for the entire movie.
They emasculated that dude.
Right.
I mean,
I agree.
That makes me mad as well. Let him be crazy.
Right.
And successful.
Why
that's
like
very
sit
much
there and punish him like he's a toddler through the entire movie.
It's I call it, I'm calling it the
it's so stupid.
I'm calling it the X-Men effect. Like when Bryan Singer did the first two movies, you're like, hey, this first movie is cool. The second one's better.
Love of God, don't get me started on Bryan Singer.
And then Bryan Singer's like, I'm going to go do Superman.
We're going to talk about Bryan Singer.
Now. Walt, you're about to send him off. Do not do it.
So this is my one problem with J.J. Abrams when, he's like, hey, I got this I'm coming off of Star Trek to do Star Wars. Okay, cool. And then it's like, okay, I did the first movie and let somebody else do the next one. Wait, what?
Right.
I've mapped out everything, and then the next person comes in and says,
I mean, they even took a great, potentially bad guy in Snoke.
They did.
And they just lopped him off, literally cut him in half.
Well,
and it's like, why did you do that?
Quite honestly,
without explanation.
They lost. So earlier in the comments, and I'm going to jump on this. Earlier in the comments, Damon comments about Darth Revan. Riva is a new character. Darth Revan, though, was originally Jocelyn Solo. Darth Revan is who Kylo Ren should have been.
Right.
So if we want to talk about taking characters and really doing a disservice to them, they did a disservice with Kylo Ren.
They did.
If they had really looked at what was done prior to the movies, prior to them slamming the books and everything. Again, they had a plethora of material they could have worked with to have brought us a stronger, nastier villain. This is a character that wanted to be just like his grandfather. We're seeing where his grandfather's coming from now in Obi-Wan. Okay? Kylo Ren doesn't even come close.
Well, you know what? The opening scene of the third movie, which most of us are just like, whatever, but you get Kylo running in and cutting everybody down. All I could think when I was watching that scene was like, that was the Kylo we needed in the first movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not this whiny ass brat. We needed that Kylo Ren from the third movie.
You're right on
put
target.
him in the first one.
I said that the third movie should have been made into 3 movies.
Right.
Because you introduce the Emperor at the beginning of the whole thing and say, hey, the Emperor is back. And then you have 3 movies to figure out what you're going to do to defeat the Emperor again.
The Emperor is back.
And you have full-on Kylo Ren and everything else. If that's what you're going to do. If that's what you're going to do, start in the first movie with that.
And the whole idea of the Emperor being a clone was taken, let's go back to, what was it? Dark... no, it was
the video games did that.
Well, it was a Dark Horse comic.
Yeah,
it was a Dark Horse comic. It was like the first Dark Horse comic that came out. Dark something. I can't remember what it was. Dark Empire or something like that. But
I think it was called Dark Empire.
It featured Luke tasting the dark side.
Walt knows how deep my animosity towards Disney knocking the books out of canon goes. He listened to it and he knows. He knows how bad that hurts.
I get knocking, all that stuff out of canon and wanting to do your own thing, but you cannot
go back and cherry pick.
you can go in and cherry pick what you want from it, sure, but don't knock it off and throw it aside and then do something that fails and then go, well, let's start cherry picking all that stuff for our streaming shows. You know, because now when you start cherry picking all that stuff from what was written in the books and the comics from back in the past, you know, it's like, oh, so are we going to try and erase those 3 final
you know what, I would prefer they just, you know, put it in its own universe and not be, and it all starts from the Mandalorian forward. Forget those 3 movies. Start over.
I would be fine with that.
I'm like, it could be an alternative universe. And shit, we're doing multiverses now constantly, so let's just bring in, I mean, I think Poe is a good character. I think Finn's a good character. I think, you know, I mean, they have some really good potential characters. Even Kylo Ren is a potentially good character. They just need to write it right.
Better yet, Luke was having a fever dream, and he wakes up to find his nephew standing there going, yo, what's going on? Are we training today or what?
Yeah.
I want to see Adam Driver play Kylo Ren the right way.
I mean, and I saw the potential in the big opening scene of the 3rd movie. I was like, that's the Kylo Ren I wanted.
Although I would have preferred that scene not be in slow motion and all that stuff. Just
oh yeah, well that's
that's a cinematography thing that I there should be no slow motion in Star Wars.
So in my personal opinion, I don't fault any of the actors for the poor.
Oh heck no!
It's all directing.
Acting was great.
That was kind of my point of going to the sequel series, because I wanted to complain about those characters. I'm not complaining about those characters because they're diverse. What I'm saying is that it's not enough to check the box and go, hey, we have a black man who's a main character. Do we get the credit for that? No. You have to give that character a good story. That character has to be there for a reason. You have to give that character some good moments and stuff. The same with Kelly Marie Tran. You can on one hand, you can separate the racism from legitimate criticism of this character doesn't serve a purpose.
Doesn't serve a purpose. No.
And that's not the actor's fault. You can't go after the actors. Go look at who's producing the film. Go look who's writing the film. Go to Kathleen Kennedy and saying, what the F is going on here?
What did you do?
Right.
Why are you doing this? It's their fault. It's their fault. Go to them.
Right.
The actors are just doing all they can do is say the words that are put in front of them. You know, their crappy characters are not their fault.
Correct.
Right.
In the case of Riva, she doesn't have a crappy character.
She does not have
acting
a crappy character.
well. If you hate her, that's okay. That's what you're supposed to do is hate her.
Right.
That's okay.
But that's the weird thing. It's like
progress.
because the way her character is being portrayed, and I'm picking up little things, and I'm picking up the nuances that the actor is portraying in the character. So I'm thinking, I'm now like, when I just finished watching it, my thoughts actually, it's like obviously Obi-Wan and Anakin, but when I was thinking about the rest of the arc, I'm really thinking about what are they doing with Riva? I mean, she's literally in the forefront of my mind. That's how well they're writing her.
It's a B plot, but it's an interesting B plot.
Correct.
Exactly. I mean, it's we're building, like you said, this is a new character. We're building a new character for the story, and it's to the point where I'm actually more interested in that character than the main character. And in fact, this story just might be about that character as opposed to Obi-Wan. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and they're foreshadowing the whole redemption thing a bit. Not only because you know how Star Wars always has a double meaning for everything,
right?
But it's like, so they when they're talking to the girl, talking about how she was in the Empire, then she saw the things, and then now she's kind of working for this underground railroad type thing for the Jedi.
Right.
It's kind of foreshadowing that same like redemption arc a little bit, and it's also setting up the rebellion.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, did anybody happen to recognize the actress who was playing the Imperial officer?
Oh, no. I wanted to know who that is. Who is she? I recognize her.
I can't remember the actress's name, but she was in Game of Thrones. She played Pedro Pascal's character, the wife in Game of Thrones.
Okay, I have seen her somewhere before.
No, I don't know. I haven't watched Game
I couldn't
of Thrones.
place her.
I'm probably going to be an odd man here, but I could not get into Game of Thrones. Sorry.
I've never watched Game of
That's
Thrones.
I've tried.
It's all right.
She was really good in Game of Thrones. Really good. Let's talk about something that Leia says to Obi-Wan that we kind of touched on last week. And she makes the comment to Obi-Wan about trusting people and and Obi-Wan kind of snaps at her about, you can't trust people. And she's like,
right.
Well, isn't
everyone? You can't
good?
trust everyone. Yeah. So,
and she, and he goes off about the Empire and she goes, but isn't the Empire trying to help us? And he makes the comment, well, people like your father are trying to help us. Someone brought up in the comments or something last week, well, why didn't Anakin go after Bail? Because he was part of the Resistance.
Because the Resistance didn't exist yet.
Doesn't it? Yeah, exactly.
No, if you remember, there was the Resistance against the trade guilds in the first 3 movies, which is what caused Palpatine to grab power, to take down the trade guilds, which is what caused, which brought the clones into effect.
The separatists.
The separatists, yeah.
The separatists.
The separatists and the trade guilds. Okay, remember, Bail and Mon Mothma and Padme and Palpatine were all part of this little resistance cell to overthrow the separatists. We do not have a rebellion yet.
No.
So okay. And in answer to those people, Bail Organa was part of the resistance against the separatists right now.
Right.
He has not started to form the rebellion with Mon Mothma yet.
Right.
No. Here's my question for you, sis. All right. When does Solo take place in relation to this? Obi-Wan.
I would guess somewhere between now and episode 4.
So so would this be first or would Solo be first?
This would be first.
Okay, because that would mean, because if you watch Solo, at the very end, you see the beginning of the resistance, the rebellion,
the Rebel Alliance. Yes,
the Rebel Alliance. You see the very beginning of that. If this is right before it, it's not even it's not even a thought pattern yet. People are only just starting to go, whoa, the Empire isn't what they're telling us it is.
This needed to be addressed because people are going, well, wait a minute, why isn't he going after Bail? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? He would recognize Bail as an enemy. Well, no, right now Bail Organa is not an enemy.
He's not.
Bail Organa
he's part of the Empire.
Part of the Empire.
Right.
And people need to remember that.
He's a member of the Senate of the Empire, the Imperial Senate.
Right.
And they disband the Senate in Star Wars.
In episode 4.
Yep, in A New Hope. Yep.
They mentioned, we just got rid of that, that Senate thing. That's gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no more
So
of that.
it wasn't until Star Wars they got rid of the Senate.
Exactly.
Right.
So then Rebels would have to take place after Obi-Wan.
Right.
Because that's because now Bail, and that's when Ahsoka joins up with him and
Right.
Mon Mothma.
Right. And remember, Rogue One literally takes place hours prior to A New Hope.
Right.
Well, yeah, we knew that.
Wasn't reminding you, sis.
Sorry. Just, I'm like, I know this. What are we saying this for?
What's that?
Riva found that that proto rebellion symbol carved into the wall.
Yes.
There. So I mean, obviously that kind of an Underground Railroad type thing that she was getting in the middle of. Is the beginning of the rebellion. I mean, we're seeing the beginning of the resistance.
And I would like to point out, because that's the same thought that I got. It's like, we've got a Star Wars Underground Railroad. Yeah. And I kind of laughed because it's like we've got the black character who's discovered the Underground Railroad, and she's out to destroy it. And I thought that's a nice little switch around.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So-
it's a very nice juxtaposition.
That's the reason why I thought Riva has a really big anger issues against the Jedi. Like, you know, why didn't you come save me? Maybe a misconception is because of her reaction to the Jedi logo on the wall.
Yeah.
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 Here's the. I'm going to add this briefly.
Go for it, Dirk.
There's the symbol that she sees on the wall.
Yeah.
Which is part of the Jedi symbol that we're used to seeing, but also the beginnings of the rebellion symbol that we all know and love.
Yeah.
So that I mean that's going to come back to play a part, I think.
And you know, there's the other story in this is when Obi-Wan's looking at the writings on the walls of who all been there, and he notices that another Jedi had been there, and
Quinlan Vos.
yeah, and he's
Helping
told
younglings.
yeah, he comes through here quite often. You know, and I'm like, oh, there's another story right there.
There is.
Right?
Because
Well, I mean,
we
in
don't
his
know who's
story,
left.
yeah, his story was told, you know.
I mean, I see an anthology series going on here, you know, Tales of the Jedi.
I love it.
Bring it on.
I
Bring it
would
on.
totally be happy to see all that.
Now, did anybody recognize the planet where they're helping the Jedi escape to?
I didn't recognize.
I caught the name, but I didn't recognize.
The planet's Jabeam. The planet Jabeam is also the home place of the First Order from the sequel trilogies.
Mm.
So
Oh.
nice little tie-in. As much as we hate the
Okay.
sequel trilogies, nice little tie-in there.
Yeah, yeah.
But as of right now, it's where they're helping the Jedi escape to.
Okay.
All right.
I want to talk about the quote that Quinlan Vos leaves on the wall. So that logo.
Old Republic.
It's the logo of the Old Republic. Is that Sean?
Yeah, that's Sean.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, man.
Welcome,
and
by the way,
that's
Sean.
looking at old school too. Sorry,
You
Walt.
gotta love all these little Easter eggs they put in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about what Quinlan Vos leaves on the wall. The saying, "Only when the eyes are closed can you truly see the way." What are we breaking apart here, guys?
Who's breaking apart?
Well, I'm saying, what are we?
Oh.
What are we seeing? What are we hearing with this? Let's break this apart.
Only when we close
Well,
our
I think
eyes.
it's definitely one thing. It's like that's part of the. I mean, for Obi-Wan, that's the beginning of his waking up and going, "I got to do something" moment.
Right.
You know, but I mean, he's not there yet.
No.
But it's just those little pieces that keeps getting tossed at him to tell him it's like you can't just sideline yourself. You
Right.
got to be a part of this. There's other people that are risking their lives for the greater good, while you're sitting there hermiting yourself on a desert, sandy planet that Anakin hates.
It's,
You know how
might-
Anakin loves sand.
It might literally be that, Obi-Wan is obviously the visual representation of Darth Vader is obviously something that's disturbing the hell out of him.
Mhm.
yeah.
But if he closes his eyes, he's going to know that it's Anakin. It's not some other creature or something. And he can beat Anakin. He's done it before.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that may be
Right.
the case where he needs to close his eyes to see the path.
I
And-
agree.
And also, it could be an inspiration for him to finally get in touch with Qui-Gon.
Also true. Could literally
Really
be
good
meditation.
thought there.
Could literally
I
be
like that.
meditation, which Jedis are into.
That's because
Because he's been trying
that's
so
the
hard
first
to
thing that I
reach him.
thought. Right. And it could be, and I'm not saying that this is a direct thing for him to think about, like, oh, I know Obi-Wan's going to come through here, so let me give him this message. I don't think it's something like that, but I think it's one of those inspirational messages that he's going to take and it's going to be like, let me, because there's the whole clear your mind, close your eyes, clear your mind, and then this thing can happen, blah blah blah, force thing. So I think that's what's going to be the inspiration for him to get in contact with Qui-Gon.
So maybe Qui-Gon hasn't been answering him because he knows Obi-Wan's not ready to hear it yet.
Right. So,
or Obi-Wan is trying too hard that he's blocking himself.
Exactly.
And he has to close his eyes and let go.
Yeah.
Remember,
Right.
Yoda always is like, let go.
Let go of
the
the feeling.
And he hasn't done that yet. He's been so,
because he's been sitting there, and this is kind of, like you said, a lot of foreshadowing going on here. He's sitting there trying to get in touch with Qui-Gon, and the whole time Anakin's running through his head. What happened at the Jedi temple's running through his head. All these things are running through his head.
He's got Riva talking in his head.
He hasn't closed his eyes to everything in order to reach Qui-Gon. So
what do we know about the Force? The fear is the dark side.
Right.
Obi-Wan is embracing the fear right now. He's been fearful
totally
the entire deal. He's
Right.
afraid.
He's afraid.
He's unconfident. He has no idea what he's going to do. He's out of his element. He needs to push all of that to the side. If he wants to use the Force, he has to get rid of fear.
Yeah,
him losing to Darth Vader was exactly what needed to happen because he was so fearful. If he would have won that and escaped, that would have been so unrealistic for what he was portraying as this, like, oh my God, you really are alive and you're in this mechanical suit and you're the thing that's terrorizing everybody.
Right.
Now we know that Obi-Wan does finally get the message, because think about the scene where he's training Luke in the Millennium Falcon. Remember what Luke says, but with the blast shield down, I can't see a thing.
Right. Right.
But he's got to learn it, but that's because he's got to learn it now. He's totally forgotten and totally lost it. He's like, he found his identity within the Jedi Order. The Jedi Order is gone, and so his identity is gone. So he's trying to learn who is Obi-Wan.
He's trying
to
gain
Ben Kenobi.
Right. I want to go back to one thing here, because the one thing that this episode is for me is a big thing, and that's just seeing Darth Vader.
Oh yes.
I mean, the more we see Darth Vader, the more scary this guy is. I can think back to way back in the day, back in, was it 1976, 77?
77.
When me and my cousin Wayne, hey Wayne, if you're watching, we're in the front row of the theater, and Darth Vader comes out, and our jaws drop. I mean, even then he was a scary figure. My cousin looks at me and he goes, "That's a bad dude."
Yeah, he is.
Just that one scene when he just walks through, he doesn't do anything, and he goes, my cousin looks at me and he goes, "That's a bad dude."
All you hear is the breathing.
Yeah, all you hear is the breathing, and my cousin.
And he walks in,
right?
Walks in with his hands on his belt, and he just looks around, and
And
40 some odd years later, I hear that breath, I still get cold chills.
And now, 40 something years later, we're now really getting to see Darth Vader and all of his bad dudeness. I mean, like, really, probably, you said it, probably the best villain ever.
Oh yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Thanos, he wiped out half the universe, but still, Darth Vader is a scary guy. And then you get to his personality, and it's like, yeah, that's pretty dang scary, So I just have to say, just him walking down the street and just snapping necks.
That's why the hallway scene is so iconic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is about to become another iconic scene.
Yeah, I mean, that Rogue One hallway scene, I mean, it was brutal, and it needed to be brutal.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Every time we see Darth Vader anywhere, he needs to be brutal. I mean,
Rogue One gave us a reminder of who Darth Vader really is. Now, this episode,
this one I think did a pretty good job of how
I think
ruthless he is.
I think we need to get to the point now that we know that he's brutal, we know that he's ruthless. Now we're getting to the part where we see where he's also sadistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the video game, the Fallen Jedi.
Yeah.
He just. That's why, I mean, you just know it's like everybody fears him because he just gets what he wants, or you're down. He's taking you out. There's no thoughts about it.
Let's break down Obi-Wan's reaction to seeing his former apprentice in this suit, walking down this street, snapping necks, dragging people.
Men,
I
women,
think it
children.
was a disbelief that he was really there.
Yep.
And not only that, because remember, he was still in disbelief when he, discovered that Anakin had killed younglings. Right. And so and then
he's watching him snap the young kids.
And then he's watching him snapping kids' necks right there on the spot. And can you imagine the
oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can you just imagine the shock? It's like I didn't want to believe it, but now here I am seeing it.
Yeah, no, it's well, I mean, because when he was watching Anakin, he was watching Anakin's take down the younglings on the holocron or the hologram, and now he's watching it with his own eyes. So now it just connected it even more personal. Anakin, and it also will solidify where he's like, Darth Vader's an agent of evil. There's no redeeming him. I mean, so he's really going to solidify that in his mind, where he's telling Luke, "There's no redeeming this guy." And Luke is like, "No, I still sense good in him."
Yeah.
Dirk, you're awfully how would Black Widow put it? Non hyperverbal at the moment. Are you suffering from a EMH headache like Tony was? Come on, I know you got something. Come on.
I mean, as far as when he first sees him, I think one of the interesting things is we know that he saw Darth Vader in his current form before he saw him in Star Wars, because we didn't get that reaction from him when he saw him in the hallway. He didn't go, "You don't look like Anakin. Who the hell are you?"
Right.
What is this sort of thing? So we know at some point, he saw. So this whole thing tracks really well with what we already know. They shoehorned this in very nicely. And it also tracks very nicely with his character arc. He's, him succumbing to the fear of seeing this thing that you guys just talked several minutes about, how the visual representation of Darth Vader is a scary dude.
Yeah.
In addition to the fact that, obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi is the main guy that he's out for. He created this version of Vader. It's all his fault.
Yep.
So that moment is great. Again, if we begin the series with Obi-Wan Kenobi super confident, hey, it's super confident Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he meets Darth Vader and he's cracking jokes and stuff. It's a terrible scene.
It's a terrible. Yeah, exactly.
If he's, on the other hand, if he's not confident and he's been cutting meat for the last 10 years and stuff, and he's not been doing pull-ups and push-ups, and he's cut himself off from the Force, and he's not sure. I mean, he hasn't until this episode, he hadn't even pulled out his lightsaber. Right. And when he pulls it out, he's using both hands and he's getting ragdolled by Vader and stuff. It makes it a much more interesting thing. I know that people are like, oh, he's a wimp now, and he's being owned by Vader and stuff. It's all storytelling, folks.
But then you think about it.
More interesting in that moment if Obi-Wan is weak.
Right. And they already set it up in the previous episode by how hard it was for him to call upon the Force to rescue Leia.
Yeah.
So they've already told us Obi-Wan's not the same Jedi he was at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
How many more episodes? We have 3 more episodes.
Three more episodes.
If we take these Disney series, kind of all of the Marvel series and all these things, you're going to have a couple of slower episodes here, I think. 4 and 5 are probably going to be much more introspective. We're going to be looking a little bit more at a little bit of character development stuff. People prepare for the bitching. Everyone who doesn't see lightsaber fights and explosions,
right?
We're going to have a couple of episodes with less action,
with dialogue,
less revelations, and less
and
action.
if it's anything like the Marvel stuff, they usually the first couple ones are pretty slow, and then because it's establishing the storyline, and then it will just take off like a rocket, especially the last 2 episodes. Ewan has already said that you got to look at this like one gigantic long movie, because this is how this is set up.
I mean, this was originally supposed to be a movie, so we should be thankful for the fact that we're going to get a couple of episodes.
We're going to get almost 6 hours worth of a movie.
We get some discussions, we get some world building, and we're going to get some introspection. And in this thing, this is where you're going to see the turn with Obi-Wan, probably brought about by talking to Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon's going to show up and go, "Look, dude, you're scared of everything. That's not the Jedi way. The Jedi way is to eschew all of these worldly things and to feel the Force and to get your damn act together. It's time to get your act together. Yeah. You're not weak. You're just closed off from the Force. The Force makes you strong.
Right.
Getting fear out of your system makes you strong. It has nothing to do with you not, doing push-ups and stuff. It's in your mind. Get out of your mind, accept the Force back into your life, and then he's going to be the badass that we know that he is.
Right.
Yeah. He's going to instill the living Force, which is, what Qui-Gon, which is, people, the council always look down upon the whole living Force aspect because it went against their whatever they're doing, and now that's becoming imperative for his survival.
Right.
So I think that's and
he's going to have to save Leia. Which is going to be the impetus for him making the turn. Right. It's not about him anymore. That's the thing, is that no longer will it be about him. It's about, I got to get my shit together or I'm not going to be able to save Leia. And it's just that simple.
And then, and in the end, it's going to be, I'm not going to be able to protect Luke.
I was just going to say that.
Exactly.
I mean,
he has to go through this in order to be able to in order to be able to save Luke, in order to be able to be in a place where he is able to train Luke and not make the mistakes that he did with Anakin.
Exactly.
But that kind of makes it kind of weird. So when he's telling Owen, like when he's, when the time comes, Luke's going to have to be trained. But yet he has been like totally like, I am not touching the Force at all.
Right.
And now it's showing that he literally is way out of practice. He's totally closed off, and it takes him a lot of effort to just turn it back on.
Right. But we also know that there are other Jedi still out there.
Right.
That is that is the thing that I'm so happy about.
We know that yes, in the future, Obi-Wan is the one that starts Luke's training. Okay. Right. But possibly we may find out, through all of this that, maybe he knows that, maybe he finds out from Qui-Gon that Yoda's still alive on Dagobah.
I mean, let's think about what was said in A New Hope when, Darth Vader tells Tarkin that Obi-Wan is there, and Tarkin's response was, the Jedi are all but extinct. I mean, there were still Jedi running around other than Obi-Wan in A New Hope. So, yeah. I mean, we really know that after seeing The Mandalorian and Ahsoka shows up. So,
Thank you, Damon. Appreciate that, man. Yes.
That's awesome.
On that note, let's talk some final thoughts about the episode. Dirk, fire away. Let's start with you.
My final thoughts is, again, I think they're setting us up for maybe a couple of slower episodes, and then they're going to blow it all out in the 6th episode. I think you'll probably see another showdown between Vader and Obi-Wan, and that's my prediction. That and Obi-Wan will kind of hand him, but they're going to have to separate those two somehow. And I think it will eventually be that he has to save Leia and he has to get back to what he was doing, we have to put him back in the same place again, which by the way is also the hero's journey, which is the return to his to his beginnings, but he's a changed man. We didn't talk about it. I really like the loader droid.
He doesn't talk.
I thought he was really cool. He doesn't talk.
Awesome.
He's just a big dude, He was about to.
He had behind his back. He had like a wrench. Yeah.
I want like a comic with the loader droid.
I want a comic with the two stormtroopers. All right.
Yeah.
The stormtroopers talk. Like we heard in Mandalorian. The more I need, some comedy skit with a bunch of stormtroopers.
Troops 2. We need Troops 2.
Right.
We need to get that guy back out and do Troops 2. And I know that guy's got a job with Lucasfilm, so hey.
I really liked the earlier scenes where they're trying to stay under the radar of the Empire, and there's a couple of kind of sweating scenes where first you have the stormtroopers show up on that in that truck or whatever, and you're wondering what is Obi-Wan going to do here if they figure out that this guy's a Jedi or whatever, and he's blowing everything. I think that's interesting. And then when he finally has to show up and be the hero and stuff, even without the lightsaber, he's doing pretty good. He's pretty handy with that blaster. And by the way,
civilized weapon.
By the way, he used a blaster back in the prequel films as well. He would grab that blaster. He shot Grievous. He shot Grievous with a blaster. He uses blasters quite a bit, and he's pretty good.
That's where the uncivilized comment comes from. Because
his hand to hand combat's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good for someone that they're saying is an older dude.
He's a master. He's a master of Terakazi.
Yes. Yeah. How old is Ewan McGregor? He's got to be. He's about
my age.
Yeah.
Because I remember he was around 25 years old when he did episode 1, and I was like, I'm 25 years old.
Right. Okay.
Or something like that.
All right. There you go then. Yeah. There you go then. So I mean, he's still got some chops. It's good. I love the thing. And by the way, I noticed that Walt changed his header on Facebook to the scene that I'm about to mention, where the stormtrooper falls off of that thing and it goes zzz, and cuts him right in between.
Yes. I saw that. I was like, God, Star Wars is getting gruesome.
That was pretty unusual for
I was like, okay, so the Mandalorian, you watch the guy get closed in the very first episode and get sliced in half with the door.
51. Thanks, Sean.
With 51.
He's 2 years younger than me.
Obviously an old dude.
He's the same age as me. I feel like I'm the youngest.
Is he seriously our age?
Yeah.
He's 2 years younger than me. Excuse me.
I'm the youngest out of the 4 of us, okay? So shush all of you, all right? Because you all ain't that much older than me. So shush.
I am older than you, I know.
Yeah, by a year today, shush you.
Yeah, that scene, I was like, I got to get a screen cap of that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, I mean, if you think about Phantom Menace, we did watch Darth Maul fall down into the shaft in 2 pieces.
We've seen Luke's hand got cut off, and Obi-Wan cut off a monster's arm.
Come on, guys. The first gruesome scene that we saw as kids was the charred remains of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Right.
Yes.
Star Wars has always been a bit gruesome.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan cut off that dude's arm in the bar.
Yeah.
Which was also pretty gruesome for 1977.
Yeah.
I have 2 other little small things to add to this. Thanks.
That's not me. No. Wrong button.
What a gift, and congratulations to everyone involved for getting us James Earl Jones back in the saddle as Vader's voice. They could have easily picked someone else out. James Earl Jones could have easily said, I don't want anything to do with this anymore. I got to hang out with grandkids or
they could have pieced out his voice.
They could have, yeah. I mean, what a gift, what a blessing to get James Earl Jones, and man, the smoothness, the bass, the tone.
Yes, the tone.
thank you for giving us that. That's a gift. He's not going to be around forever. Thank you for giving us James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader once again. And I have a tiny thing. I have a nit to pick on this thing. There was one scene where Vader shows up and he has his saber out to the side. So it's Vader's in the foreground and Obi-Wan is in the background. And you see Obi-Wan run to screen right. Okay. And then the next cut is Obi-Wan running to screen left.
Yes. Okay. I noticed that too.
That is completely disorienting. It breaks the 180-degree rule. That's
an editing thing.
That is either a director or editing issue there. He should have continued to run to the right because it looked like he ran right back out in front of Darth Vader.
It's a continuity issue.
That is a terrible, terrible edit, and someone screwed up there. Shame on you. This is not a community college production here. They should have fixed that somehow in editing. That is my little nit to pick there.
Mariam.
Hi.
Final thoughts.
I'm going to just say it's like I'm loving this show, and I'm loving how they're putting it all together. And the thing is that we already kind of know where Anakin and Obi-Wan are going to go. We know where Leia's going to go. We're just along for the journey of how they're telling the story of where they're going. Really, in all honesty, I'm actually really interested in the third sister's storyline because she's new. Her outcome is very unpredictable, and we don't know. We're guessing where she's going to go, what her story is going to do, but I'm really interested in her storyline. I love Obi-Wan. Sis knows this. I love him. She knows I love Obi-Wan, and I want to see him. And yes, he is on his hero's journey. He's about to, come back into it in the realization of what's going on. But I just really like the fact that Riva's story is so intriguing, and I think they're doing a good job writing her right now. And I hope it continues because now that she's with Leia, and I don't know if she's going to sense that Leia is Force sensitive. Or if Leia is going to somehow get her to question, because Leia's she's fearless. She doesn't care. She'll talk to you. She wants to know what you're thinking, how you're ticking.
Highly perceptive.
She's highly perceptive. So I'm really curious what's going to happen with the third sister and with her, just how ambitious and what it is. I'm curious. So her storyline actually, weirdly for me, is the piece that I'm really looking forward to.
Walt, what you got to say about this?
Same thing. The only thing on my mind right now is I want to see this conversation between Mariam and Leia in part 4, because that's going to happen. And I think it's going to be the most telling. I think this is the point where we're going to know what direction this story is going to go.
Yeah.
This is the, what do you call it? The top of the hill right here. So when we get to that in this next episode, be prepared, because we don't know which direction Riva's going to go on this one. So, everything else, what Dirk said and Mariam said, I totally agree. Same thing, same thoughts.
Can I say something to what Walt just said?
Yeah.
Speaking as someone who's reading a lot of books right now on on plotting and writing, they have a plot theory that's called the mirror moment, where at the middle of the thing, whoever your protagonist is, and I think we kind of have two protagonists here, they look inward. They look at the mirror and they go, who am I? And who do I want to be? And I think the next episode is that mirror moment. And it's going to be that mirror moment for Obi-Wan Kenobi, who's going to be like, this is, I didn't sign up to be a coward.
Right. Right.
I'm
Wait a minute, I'm the best.
damn Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
And so I'm gonna own that, and I think we're gonna get that, and then I think we're also going to get Riva looking in the mirror, and with the help of Leia, and I think she's going to be questioning a little bit. I don't know where she comes out on this. The character arc could be that she chooses evil, but the character arc could be that she also chooses another path, and we don't know. Knowing Kathleen Kennedy though. I would say that she's probably setting up Riva for some more appearances in this universe.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I would like to see
looking at her making the turn at some point and being available for other series or other appearances.
I also see us learning her origin in this next episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, part of the mirror moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much looking at
and I think we're going to see
who the character is.
And I'm going to think we're going to also see how resourceful Leia really is.
Yeah.
That the reason why she is who she is when she's got those Death Star plans at 18.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
That's only like only like 8 years from where she is right now.
Yeah. Think about how young she is in Star Wars and how much of a badass she is.
Right.
How she's, taking care of business and giving orders and talking, Darth Vader shows up and she's like, I'm not afraid of you. You.
Yeah.
Right?
She just saw someone get his, his neck snapped and she's like, I'm not taking your
She's
stuff.
like, I see, what is it? Tarkin still has him on a leash.
Yes.
I reckon. My favorite is when she says, "I recognize your foul stench when I was brought on board." That's still my favorite line. That is such one of the most awesome cutdowns.
Yeah, so
ever.
she's always had the snark.
Yeah,
she's always had the snark. So we're seeing that, and we know that 8 years from now, she's going to have those Death Star plans. And she's going to be doing the New Hope. So she can't be like some timid little girl. You have to see this established, fearless little girl.
Right.
Yeah. Who's got some real strong intuitions, apparently.
And I'm hoping our turned Imperial person shows her how to shoot.
Yes.
I hope we get to see that. I got a feeling she's going to end up on Alderaan. And she's going to be, close to Bail Organa, and she's going to show her how to shoot. I want to see that.
We're not going to get this, but have you ever read the comic, or you're familiar with Lone Wolf and Cub? It would be great if we could get like a series of things with it's like Leia and Obi-Wan running around, and.
But that's what Mandalorian
but that's the Mandalorian.
That's the Mandalorian.
That's true.
That's the Mandalorian. That's Lone Wolf and Cub in the Space Cowboy.
Grogu and Mando and Din Djarin.
That's true. Very true.
But no, I am excited for all of this. Yeah. I really am liking this right now.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with how they've developed this TV show and what they're doing with it. Especially the character development that I think a lot of us have craved over the years. We were all kids when Star Wars first came out, when we first had that epic Vader scene, when we first met Obi-Wan, and, here's this powerful desert wizard helping out the kid, helping out the teenager. Those were the droids they were looking for. For me, it's truly the character building and the story building for Obi-Wan and Vader. I actually had somebody one time ask me, what is the oldest character that you ever remember writing? And I can honestly say Darth Vader. I remember as a 7 to 8 year old kid sitting and typing on my grandmother's typewriter some cheesy little Star Wars script. But Vader, and I still have it somewhere, Steve. No, you can't read it.
He wants that.
I know he does. I know he does. Steve, it's like 3 pages. I still have it somewhere,
Steve
though.
Didn't chime in, by the way.
But
where is he?
He was supposed to be on. I don't know where he went. But I've always been fascinated with Darth Vader. I've always been fascinated with Anakin Skywalker. So seeing this development after having read all of the books over the years and really doing some introspective writing of my own with Mariam on both Obi-Wan and Anakin, to see him in this episode in full Vader mode, to see him, the first scene with the lightsaber, the whole 9 yards, to see the duel, that really gave me, at first it gave me cold chills, and then I was suddenly 7 again.
Didn't you wonder what Vader was thinking when he was standing there watching Obi-Wan being rescued in the fire?
Yes.
Because he just stood there just watching, and something is going in his mind, and they didn't allude to it before he turned around and walked away.
Well, it reminds me of the whole the end of Empire Strikes Back. They're chasing down the Millennium Falcon, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we shut down the hyperdrive on it," and it goes choom, and then he just stands there.
He just stands there and looks, and then he turns around and walks away. So Vader, if nothing else, Vader understands he understands the need for patience,
which is something that he didn't have.
Obi-Wan kept telling him constantly, "Patience, Anakin."
And now he understands the need for patience, and he's going to drag this out. He wants Obi-Wan on the run. He wants Obi-Wan scared for his life, because he knows
he wants Obi-Wan to suffer like he has.
Yes, and if he knows Obi-Wan is scared, Obi-Wan's going to make a mistake.
Plus, he's learned that of all people, he's learned patience from Palpatine, because look how patient Palpatine was for all of his machinations to go through.
Yes,
very true.
Yes. I think what you guys have touched on as far as what we're going to see in the next couple of episodes are dead on the money. I think we are going to see a final duel yet again between Vader and Obi-Wan, and if we don't, man, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. I know a lot of the naysayers online, they're like, "Oh, well, isn't this supposed to be about Obi-Wan and Luke?" You know what? I'm kind of glad it's not.
That was a misdirect.
Oh, yeah.
It's like when Luke Skywalker was supposed to, when Luke Skywalker showed up on The Mandalorian, the misdirect was Plo Koon.
Yeah. Right.
Luke was a misdirect.
I'm glad, because as much as I love the character of Luke Skywalker, we all know Luke's real story. Leia has always been a bit of a mystery.
Yes.
Even in the books, they've always touched on Leia's life after the rebellion. They've never touched on what was her life growing up on Alderaan as the princess of Bail and Breha Organa, as the young woman who becomes the youngest senator in the Empire. And I am glad we are getting that. And I can only think that Carrie Fisher is looking down, going, "Yes."
Yeah.
At both getting the story and at the young woman who is playing Leia.
I love
it does my heart good.
I love it. I love her. I love her. The actress who's playing her, she's perfect.
Yeah, she is awesome.
She's got the sass, she's got the spunk, she's got the fearlessness. She's doing great.
All right, so before we wrap up, let's do a little housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping?
Not now.
Dirk, do you want to do the honors?
Just cover the stuff. We're not doing guests right now, but we're going to take a few weeks off of the regular Task Force Geek, although we almost... Gia Langaro contacted me and asked to be on because he has a Kickstarter running right now for a Cthulhu plushie that he's offering,
nice.
which I really want to talk to him about. I think that's cool. Unfortunately, he has like a D&D thing that he runs on Tuesday nights, so he may not be able to show up. But he's certainly welcome to be on the show, and other people are welcome to be on the show on Tuesday nights. Even if we're taking the time off, I will do a show if we have a guest. So if you're interested, please get in touch with me at taskforcegeek@gmail.com. if you're interested in that. There you go.
Walt, talk to them about what we're looking for on here.
Yes. So in the future, like we said, Obi-Wan's only going to be 3 more episodes. So you got any ideas on what we should spoil next? I do know that The Boys has started right now.
Miss Marvel.
Ms. Marvel is coming up, as well as She-Hulk. It's
Marvel
coming up.
is June 8th.
We've also got the second half of Stranger Things season 4, which I don't think comes out till July. So if there's anything else geek related that you think we should watch and spoil, let us know. I mean, like right now, I would say, there's Young Justice, but there's only 1 episode left of that. So we're not even going to go there. Yeah.
But we talked about doing, like an old series.
Yeah, we would love to do
something that's already out there.
We would love to do an old series.
The old series. I watched the first episode of Farscape last night.
You did?
Yeah.
I've been watching.
There was a specific reason I watched that, but
I've been watching Airwolf.
We'll talk about that later.
I've been watching Airwolf.
Really?
Lately. Yeah.
On Tubi?
And on Tubi, I've been watching Airwolf, and I've been back and forth. Like I'll get in an Airwolf moment, and I'll go back and I'll catch up on Airwolf, and then I've been watching the Batman animated series, which is the animation in that's just pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I go back and I watch a lot of old series. So I've found that the original $6 Million Man, I think, is on Tubi now, as well as the old Bionic Woman. Yeah.
I've been asking for that. Are you serious?
I didn't know this one either, Dirk. So yeah.
I do know that if you have,
I gotta go.
I do know that if you have the Cozy network, if you can access Cozy and set your DVR, I do know that during the day there's 4 hours of $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. So like 2
Cozy?
hours. Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
It's one of those digital stations, regular TV digital stations, and they run old TV shows throughout the day. So right now I found this accidentally on Memorial Day, 2 hours of $6 Million Man and 2 hours of the Bionic Woman. So during the day. So if you're at home all day and you need something to watch,
they broadcast. It's not on demand.
It's not on demand. You have to catch it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I do know one of the streaming services is streaming both of those series now, and I'm like, I need to watch that.
Must have.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's that. The original, we'd like to go through the original Battlestar Galactica. There's even other things we'd like to watch a series of and spoil it. Like me and Dirk have been talking about Star Blazers for the longest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So,
I would love to do the original Wonder Woman.
Which is on Max, HBO Max, and it's on Tubi.
Wait a minute, the original Wonder Woman's
yes,
on?
Carter. The original Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. We'd also, I'm also been throwing out if you have Amazon Prime or Twitch, we'd love to have a watch party.
Yeah, let's do a spoiler alert, spoiler alert watch party.
We'd like to do a watch party on Amazon Prime where we just say, hey, on this day, we're all going to watch this thing. And if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, we'll get you hooked up and we'll all get together and we can, especially since I had, I'm on Twitch, we can get together on Twitch and there's you can comment live as we're watching all on Twitch. So,
Darren says he would like us to do spoiler alert on Scooby-Doo. That was his 2 cents. Just saying.
Hey, if speaking of Scooby-Doo, a good series to watch on which is now on HBO Max now is Mystery Incorporated.
Yep.
I recommend it basically takes place after the original Scooby-Doo series, and it's a serialized show. I mean, each episode is kind of a standalone episode, but there's clues that lead you on to the next episode. So
has anyone here seen? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and it has, if you're a fan of I can't remember. If you like Lewis Black is a regular voice on there. So
Has anyone seen
I
the
got Lewis
Dresden
Black coming
Files?
to perform.
I haven't seen the Dresden Files.
I've seen the Dresden Files. I've also read the books.
Is it good?
For what they did with it, yeah. I mean, it was only one season and it didn't go any further. But what they did with it was pretty decent. It's worth watching. I don't know if it's worth doing like a spoiler alert on, but it's worth watching. It's a fun little romp.
But yeah, I think we should do like in between shows.
Yeah.
We should let's say watch 5 episodes of like Knight Rider or Battlestar Galactica,
the original,
any of the old TV shows that we grew up watching in the 70s and 80s, and maybe even
excuse to watch those.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Buck Rogers.
Like to watch that.
No! Oh my God! Oh God!
It's so bad it's good.
It's so horrible. I actually went back and watched it.
Yeah. And you know what? And it gets worse the second season when it's like the first season was like okay. It's like okay. The first season is like okay, we muscled through this, and then the second season is like oh my God,
what is happening?
What did you do? Yeah.
Flash Gordon. She's like, no, don't do this.
I would, we could have a grand old time tearing apart Star Trek, the original series.
Oh, we could.
We'd have a blast with that.
I made a great meme out of a Star Trek moment.
Somebody just rewatched Flash Gordon. That was cheesy but fun movie.
You know what? The only thing I like out of that movie was the fact that Queen did the soundtrack. And other than that, I'm just like.
But that's the reason it's so bad.
It's so bad.
Good.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
And you know what? I'm one of the few. I'm one of the few who says this, but I didn't care for The Fifth Element.
I didn't like The Fifth Element either.
Fifth Element was really kind of weird, twisted.
My God.
Didn't care for The Fifth Element.
Fifth Element is one of my favorite movies.
It's definitely weird and twisted.
You're the oddball then, Dirk.
I'm definitely the oddball.
No matter how you slice. I walked into the movie theater thoroughly disappointed after seeing that movie.
So I don't know what this series Archive 81 is or who this actor is.
Good,
I may need to go
good series.
I may need to go look and see if he looks like you, Walt.
He doesn't.
Well, that's all I got for this episode. And as always, we've tangented out to 2 hours. Yes.
Yeah, we did. We made it almost 7.
We did. So I think we're going to call it a wrap. So from everyone here at Task Force Geek spoiler alert, I want to thank Darth Hooper, Walt, and Mariam for joining us and helping us spoil episode 3. Stay tuned. Next week, we will be back at 3 o'clock Central Time to spoil episode 4 and see where our hero has managed to get himself to this time. So on behalf of Task Force Geek, may the Force be with you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good afternoon, y'all.